So I'm talking to my friend Alan Rowlett, and today's topic is execution, visibility, and financial control. How Infios, that's not Infios, it's Infios, solves global supply chain challenges. And by the way, the three pieces of supply chain you mentioned, your model that has not failed over the last 25 years is execution, visibility, and the financial controls. And that's what we're talking about today. And that's we talked a little bit about Infios is a company that bought up, I think, Kerber Supply Chain, which does warehouse management, order management systems. Also, Mercury Gate, kind of one of the best known transportation management systems. I'm assuming there's some other companies that went into there, but what they basically have now is an order to cash suite of tools that some of the biggest companies in the world are using, but also some of the top 3PLs are using this also. And I think I can say this, looking at the trends across the industry, this is the new trend. The idea of having a standalone WMS, a standalone TMS, and doing order management through your ERP, that is yesterday's news. I think there's a lot of reasons why we're looking for these suites of tools. First off, they're all interconnected. They're going to be much more streamlined. All those handoffs or clunky integrations aren't necessary. When I started this podcast almost 8 years ago, people talked about integrations. It was like it's like building a literal bridge from one system to another. It doesn't require that anymore. We should be using the companies that have built the suite of tools from order to cash, so we don't have to do the clunky integrations. By the way, those integrations, they're one-offs and they are more subject to the security breaches that we're all trying to avoid. Also, the bigger companies like Infios, they can spend the money to prevent the cybersecurity issues, the freight fraud. They can spend on it. I'm afraid the smaller companies in the space are going to have to find a way to make the investments, and I don't know that they can. So it's good reason you should be fleeing to the biggest companies in the space. We talked about all the issues around auditing. So whether it's ocean freight or a small parcel or over the road, less than truckload, anything that's moving, you're going to get a quoted price, and then you're going to get an invoice price, and some number, 1, 2, 3%, whatever it is going to be incorrect. And auditing it yourself, you probably don't have the technology to do it. You probably don't have the best practices. You don't have the team. You might have one guy who is disgruntled in doing it and wishing you would outsource it. So,
too well.
Yeah, it's also not utilizing them in the way they want to be utilized. They want to be more the guy who can say, "Hey, boss, I found a way we can save 5%," as opposed to saying, "I've saved $100 on a detention." And I think we talked a little bit about the interconnected systems. Ideally, you work with Infios and all of your stuff is going through their system, but they'll also work with companies where you can export directly to their freight pay and audit. And all this is coming down to is all those extra costs, the detention, the demurrage, the mistakes, the supposed to be there by 8, didn't get there till 10. We need to catch all those. Those are money that you are due. And this really comes back to adherence to the contract, keeping the promises to your customers. Anyway, enough of my blather. Alan put a big old bow on this one. Final thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, so we've touched on a lot of it, and it's been really exciting. But at its core, the future of supply chain is about intelligent connectivity, right? Networks are growing more complex across more nodes and geographies and systems, like we've touched on. The competitive advantage will belong to the organizations that unify that physical movement, those financial flows, and that visibility. And again, it's intelligence, cohesive, single operating model. The evolving technologies going into real-time visibility and autonomous workflows are absolutely transforming supply chains. We're getting less and less of that reactive model. We're getting into more of those kind of fragmented functions and adaptive precision-driven ecosystems. Those are all the things that are kind of getting, disrupted by it. In companies that embrace that shift, they're just not going to keep pace with disruption. The people who do that first, they're going to be the quickest, they're going to be the most resilient, and those are the customers that are going to set the value prop that everyone else starts to chase in the future. So when we come back and look at it, I would say the future of supply chain and what we talked about is about intelligent connectivity. And that's the stuff that we need to start looking at today if we're going to lead tomorrow or not get left behind.
I love it. I love it. One more time, who are your ideal customers?
For us, it's really anybody. I mean, we work in the manufacturing space, we work in the retail space, we work with the 3PLs. If you move product and you have orders or a facility to move those orders and pick, pack, ship, we can help you out.